Sorry, are you rolling?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Cool, man. What's your name?
Okay, so my name is Duncan LeGrell. I come from Rocky Mountain, West Alberta. I was blessed and I was put in a good foster home along with my brothers and sisters. I went to a Christian school from grade 1 to grade 8ish, and then I started, getting in trouble and struggling with school. So my parents in the school talked out a program where I would go to school half the day and then go to work experience for the other half. I was being bullied and picked on, so then I just wouldn't go to school and I'd rebel against my parents, and I started drinking alcohol at a young age, and I remember going to the skate park, and that's where we'd hang out. I don't know why you'd go there, because I'd go there and I'd just get my ass kicked every night, because they'd always be fighting, and we'd always fight when we were drunk, and I don't know, I just kept on drinking. I guess it was because the addiction part of it, and I didn't know that then, but I
What?
thought it was for the fun. Looking back, I think it was, to fit in, because I didn't really fit in school. Me and my twin brother, and we were basically the only Aboriginals in the school, and my twin brother, well, he fit in, he was the popular one, and me,
Where?
I just really wasn't, so I turned to drinking and, other things.
So how old were you when you started drinking?
Probably 14, 15. I think it was through a friend that I went to the skate park with all the time. He lived with his mother, a single mom, and he had a older brother, and she just really didn't care who came over. He could invite anyone over, and they could crash there and stuff, and she just wouldn't care. Like I said, we were put into foster care. My real mom committed suicide when I was 5, and one day, I was having a, temper tantrum with my foster parents, and I always knew that if, I phoned social services and said that, they were, abusing us or just not treating us good, that they'd come and they'd take us, and put us in a different home, right? And I thought, wow, a new home, cool, right? I didn't really think of the consequences and what would come from it. And I convinced my little brother, who's now been in jail for the past 11 years now. I convinced him to come with me, and he was younger. I thought we were gonna be put in the same place, home and everything. I had no idea of what was coming, and we got sent to a small town, Leslieville, for a few days, and that was cool. And then I remember the social worker coming, and she was like, "You're going to a group home in Red Deer, Duncan, and your little brother's going to a group home in Calgary, and yeah, there's nothing you guys can do to change that, and you guys can't go back to the Mises, and that's the foster parents that we were originally with, right?" And
So your plan kind of backfired there.
it did, and so he was first to go, and I stayed there for another week, and then I went to Red Deer. Right off the bat, I started doing ecstasy every other day, and drinking every other day, AWOLing from the group home, running away. I ended up going to young offenders. In and out, in and out. I started, falling further and further apart from my family, from my religion, and from everything, everything that was important to me. It's not that I didn't care, it's that I didn't realize that I was falling so far away from it and that it was gonna come to this. I remember my mom always telling me not to do drugs and stuff, and because they were Christian and my dad was a pastor, they always gave me the free will to, they didn't push God on us, and they also gave us, the choice to go to our reserve and meet our other family and go to the powwows and stuff, and they never held us away from that. So that I was blessed, and all of my brothers and sisters, we all got put in that same home. We were lucky that way too, and we were taught manners, and I got lost, and I got lost with the addiction, with alcoholism, with my sexuality. At one point I thought it was cool to maybe try being bi and stuff, because people accepted me more, I guess, I thought. And that really wasn't who I was, and but I just wanted to be accepted, and like I wanted people to like me, and so I would do basically whatever, to be accepted and to have people hang out with me. And after a while, I started using crystal meth, and like how that happened was I got asked one day if I did meth and if I shot meth, and I had no idea what shooting was or anything like at that point, and I said yes. I remember this person getting a shot ready for me. I watched what he did, and I just did the same thing, and like I remember the feeling. Like it was, I can't, to this day I can't even explain it. Like it was like I hit myself for like right away, and just, and like the feeling was like I loved it, and I was hooked. I was doing it like every day and spending all my money on it. I ended up doing robberies and even stealing from my family and from my friends. And
So at this point, did you already feel like it was controlling all your decisions?
almost about when I was 17, that's when I realized, because when I was in young offenders, there was an AA program, and the addictions counselor asked me to, if I wanted to go, and so I said sure. I remember just as soon as I started going, I really like enjoyed going, because once again, the people, every meeting I went to, I was always told to keep coming back. Like I said, I was always wanting people to accept me and to want me around, because before people didn't want me around. I liked how they'd always want me back, and they'd say keep coming back. And I remember this one person in particular, his name was, I'm just gonna call him by Matt because AA, the anonymity. He ended up becoming my sponsor, and he was also uh, gay, and so my parents didn't agree upon it at first, and I was kind of iffy about it at first too, but because I thought his intentions were different. But after like a year of trying to work the steps on and off, and he ended up actually becoming like one of my best friends in like the whole world. My parents ended up changing their thoughts about him because he never tried anything, and all he wanted to do is work with other addicts, because that's what helped him stay sober.
So where were you staying at this time after you left the Young Offenders Program?
I was now here in Calgary, in and out still, and that's how I was able to, complete my grade 12, and I was sober then for a bit, and because of that, I signed up for university, and everybody, like kept on telling me how in need Aboriginal social workers are. There's barely any out there, and like the people that do work in like Aboriginal treatment centers and stuff, lots of them, they haven't even, like lived the lifestyle, or like even some of the employees that work at the treatment centers haven't even lived it. They just work there to, for the paycheck. I've lived the life, I've been there, I've done it, and talking to another person who's going through the lifestyle that I did, the addiction part and whatever else I may have went through, they may listen a bit more because it's coming from someone that went through it, right? That lived it, that didn't just, go to school and, learn, and, that just, they really don't give a shit. I struggled with my addiction throughout university, and I got my bachelor's in social work. I was like the third person from my reserve to actually receive a university degree. At the time, I didn't realize how cool and like how awesome that was. I ended up doing a few practicums at a few different places. Some of them were okay, but like some I also didn't like. I had to go along with the police and people that would apprehend children from homes. 95% of the time before arriving, they'd tell me that the parents would have, a few minutes to say their goodbyes to the kids and stuff. Almost 100% of the time, they didn't even get a chance to say bye or anything. They just grab the kid and walk away. The parents would be left there crying, asking why, and they'd be given no answer. It's just a card, call this number, and they wouldn't even be able to give their kid a hug or a kiss, and that really, it was hard to just watch it. I knew that that wasn't going to be a field I was going to be working in, so eventually I ended up working at Alpha House here in Calgary. It was great. I was sober. I had a roof over my head. I was happy. I was starting to communicate more with my family again and like with my relatives. One day, a client came in and he had a backpack full of drugs and he told me to throw them away, and being a staff there, we can't do that because he was drunk, and like, what if he woke up in the morning and was like, I was drunk, like, why would you listen to me? And so I didn't do it, and then I worked nights that next day, and I come in and that guy was still there, and he comes up to me and he's like, why didn't you throw that shit away? I'm going to detox. I don't want that. Like, it's just ruining my life. Like, I want you to throw it away, please. And there was a lot, like probably a key of meth and a couple of keys of coke, and like he just wanted me to stand. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do it because you're sober now, and like you may regret this one day. But after 4 days, he was still there trying to get into detox and still bugging me. So instead of throwing it away, which I shouldn't have done anyways, throwing it away, but I kept it, took it home. I didn't do any of it for like a month or two, but I don't know, I was depressed and just curiosity kills the cat, I guess. I had it at the house, so I thought just one line, just one line, that's it. And within 3 months, I was back to using, and after, probably 6 months, my boss came to me and he's like, there's nothing against using and working here, but you can't come to work late, you can't come to work under the influence, and you can't be caught using with others. I was so embarrassed that I didn't go back to work. I just stopped going in, and I lost my place, my truck, my everything. I had actually met my partner, who I'm still with to this day, but she was a client there and I was working there. We've been through a lot, it was a good relationship at first. It was an amazing relationship, actually, like love at first sight, basically. I remember all the plans and promises we made each other. Slowly, just after, using and stuff together, like we would do anything, to try to get, back on track. And we even moved back home to Regina, to the reserve. We had her daughter. It was good. We were sober, and I ended up getting arrested for warrants. I got brought back to Regina, and then I had to come back to Alberta. She stayed back home to be a mother for her daughter. I got out, and I don't know, like I was wondering what she was up to, if she was, still sober and stuff. And 3 months later, bang, one day I was getting out of jail again, and like literally the first person I saw when I got off the train was her, like walking down. It just started off where we left, drinking, doing drugs. We were bad into using needles, and at first we came from, being like one of the most respected and liked couples down here to support our habits and our addictions. We just started robbing people, our friends. Sucked after a while because people that used to be like good friends of ours, if they saw us, they would turn another way, or if they couldn't, they would just like start emptying their pockets and stuff because they were scared that we would bear spray them or stab them. After a while, it just got, we were both just lonely and we hated it because nobody wanted to be around us. No dealer would even come meet us because we weren't gonna pay them, and they knew that. We were fighting too much, so she ended up seeing another guy, and I was okay with that because I just wanted her to be happy. And she ended up going to jail along with him. She was in for 18 months for 2 counts of second-degree murder. We talked, on and off while she was in, and we planned that I go to detox before she gets out, and I did. And when she got out, we found out that by her PO that she was going to a women's only treatment center and that she had a condition not to be around me. She was about to agree with it to her PO on the phone. I said no, and because I'd been in detox for a while, my parents, they sent me some money and we got on the next bus I was leaving, and it was originally Toronto, but the bus didn't end up leaving. I forgot to mention that after she got out, her ex told her if she ever left him, that he would kill her and the person she left him for. I remember this one night, I'll never forget it. It's actually literally 2 blocks away from here, just over in that back alley. There used to be a red house, yellow garage. We'd break in there and we'd sleep there, and she got a message this one night, and it was from this guy, and he's asking us if I could pay his cab right down so he could, come and crash in the garage because he was fighting with his girlfriend. I said no, because, I just was sick and tired of, now people using us for, drugs and just not paying us back, and so I said no, and he kept on bugging us, and he's like, I'll help you do collections, I don't care. I finally agreed, not thinking he was actually serious about doing collections, and, first thing he says is when he gets out of the cab, is like, let's go do this. And, we ended up collecting a bunch of money and guns and drugs and stuff that night, and people got hurt too, and so I thought, this guy kept his word, so I let him sleep on the couch. So I thought he was sleeping. Next thing I know, I'm waking up at 9:32 a.m. and I'm being stabbed. I remember the knife I was already standing up, and the knife just kept on going through my hand, stabbing me in the face, the neck, the stomach, and I remember she was trying to get a door that I have no clue where the door came from in between us to stop him, right? And she did for a minute, and then it fell down or something, but by the end of it, I'd been shot twice and stabbed 29 times, and she had been stabbed 7 times, and I remember he ran out, and first thing she says is, just run to the hospital. And it was December 19th, 2017. It was probably one of the worst snowstorms that year, and my twin brother had just gotten out of a year-long treatment center 2 months prior, so he didn't have much money or anything, but he had just started his job that him and his girlfriend had been looking for since he had gotten out of treatment, and they literally started their job an hour and a half before they got a phone call from the hospital from the doctor saying that I was in life-threatening condition and that I had been stabbed 29 times and shot twice. Out of those, almost 14 of them were vital, and that I probably might not make it for the next 2 hours. So him being sober, first thing he says is he goes to his boss and he's like, I know it's our first day, but my brother's in ICU, he just got stabbed and shot, we need to go. And his boss told him if he takes his uniform off, he doesn't have a job no more. So basically my brother said, fuck, whatever, he threw his uniform on the counter, and then his girlfriend's like, fuck, we both worked an hour and a half, I'm keeping mine. And they walked out, knowing that they both just lost their jobs. They got in the truck, and what would have been a 8-hour drive from Lloydminster became a 13-hour drive because of the winter storm, right? He barely had any money because he just got out of treatment too and no work, and right before they got here, they ended up getting in a little accident. It was near Christmas, so the cheapest room was expensive too, and they had to pay for daycare for their kid. 2 months after I got stabbed, I remember waking up and the first person I saw was my twin brother, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing here and where am I? He's like, buddy, you need to go back to sleep. I'm here because I love you and you're my brother. Why the fuck wouldn't I be? I'm like, it's gotta be a drink, but I'll go back to bed because I feel like shit. So I go back to bed. I guess they had to re-induce my coma that night. So 3 months later, again, I wake up and he's still there, and a bunch of my friends from school were there, and I had a bunch of family there, and detectives were there this time, and they're like, we have the person in custody, and you're lucky that you're alive. You lost your kidney, your spleen, 5 feet of intestine, and the knife that he used, he covered it with shit, blood, piss, battery acid, gasoline, whatever he could to make my body go septic and get the abscess and stuff. I remember at one point I had probably 13 bags hanging from my body, just to drain the abscess. I remember growing up, I always thought going through an experience like that would make somebody sober up. So I remember my twin brother, he's like, I can get you into this treatment center. It was a Christian one. It's called Teen Challenge. He's like, but it won't be the same one I went to. It's going to be one almost in close to Winnipeg. I can't say no because he just spent like almost 7 months there by my side. So I agreed, and next thing I know, I'm on a bus and we're like almost to Saskatchewan, and I start like puking blood up and like having seizures and stuff, and they did an emergency stop, and then I got rushed from where we were to Saskatchewan Hospital, and I was in there for another 4 months getting surgeries and operations and stuff. After that, I finally, they held my bed to treatment, and I ended up going. I felt I didn't belong there, and I knew I was going to leave. I just didn't want to leave right away because I didn't want to let him down that quick, right? My brother, I wasn't ready. Nor am I now. I wish that I was ready, because I wish this addiction on no one, especially fentanyl, because it takes your soul. It takes everything. If you don't have that next fix, lots of other addicts will deny, but I used to work with them, and I've been that addict. You'll steal, you'll cheat, you'll lie, you'll do whatever for that next fix if you're sick. It's sad because you'll do it to your best friend, to your mom, to your friend, and normally sober, I would never even think of doing anything like that. But with this addiction, I've done things that I never thought I'd ever do. It's made it really hard on our relationship, me and Colette. There's times that I've wanted to just leave because neither of us deserve, the way we treat each other. But then there's the days that we have awesome days and that we get along just fine. I just wish I never would have started. But at the same time, it's made me who I am today, and it's made me want to continue when I get sober, going out and, helping other addicts. Back then, Aboriginal social workers were very in need. Well, now times that by like probably 80%. That's how much more they are in need now. I know I could do a lot of help if I, got sober, and not only help, but it would help me, because I know from being in AA and NA that helping other addicts does help me. And like I said, I don't wish this on no one, and it's changed me in so many ways. There's days that I just wish I was never born, because I hate how it's changed me, and I don't want to be like this, because I know it's hard on my family, it's hard on my parents, it's hard on my brothers. I take a little blame for, why my brother is going to be spending the rest of his life in prison. I wonder, if I never asked him to leave that day, if he'd even ever have experienced jail. Yeah, he tells me I made those choices to leave, and I agree, but it still goes across my head every now and then, especially because I miss him. It's been a long time since I've seen him, and he's not doing good, but I have plans to, get sober here shortly, like real shortly, like soon, because I know that I have potential, and I know that if anyone can get past this addiction, it's me and my wife. If anyone can help other addicts, it's someone that's been through it, and no one deserves to be like this. So if I can get sober and help other people going through this, I'm gonna do it because I owe it to the world. I owe it to other addicts, because they don't deserve what they're going through. They get looked down on, they get hated on, they get left out in the middle of winter, overdoses. The amount of people that I've known that have died because of fentanyl use just in the past year alone blows my mind. And this goes out to the young ones, if I have anything to say, no joke. Fentanyl, meth, don't do it because you think it's going to make you fit in or something. Don't do it because it will change you, and not for the best. It's not worth it. Just trust me. It's not worth it. It's made me more depressed than anything, and plus, you got a lot of life ahead of you, and you got potential, and drugs, they've, like, look at me, I'm 31 years old, and, yeah, so if I have anything to say, just stay away from drugs, and if you can't, there is help out there. You just gotta want it. Not for others, but you gotta want it for you. Because, let me tell you, you can't do it for anyone else but yourself. Don't work that way. I wish it did, but it don't. You gotta want it. So, once again, my name's Duncan LeGrell, and this is my story. This is my life. I'm still You're struggling with addiction, but you know what? It's not going to be for long. I can promise you that. Peace.